Wasn't the best result. Crazy, crazy season for Manchester United. It hasn't been the greatest ever season. I think everybody can agree that this season has mostly been horrific, man, and it hasn't been the greatest season for Manchester United, and especially if you analyze the Premier League. The Premier League, we haven't been competing, man, and it's just too much inconsistency, too much poor results, and you could see that against Wolves. You can see that, hey, the club, it genuinely needs a lot of work. We genuinely need to improve the squad, and yeah, that's why we're here to just talk about these transfers that are genuinely going on. And the big story is just about Xavi Simons. Obviously, this guy, he plays in the Bundesliga, but it looks like his contract. We've heard major sources actually talk about this, right? Even Fabrizio Romano coming out to talk about Xavi Simons' situation. It looks like the guy probably won't stay at RB Leipzig, right? So, it's a crazy situation with Xavi Simons, right? The guy is talented. He was at Barcelona academy at such a young age, and with such a player, you'd expect him to what? To be at a top club right now. Obviously, the hype with Xavi Simons when he was young was insane. This guy was getting hyped up. This guy, people saying he's the next Iniesta, he's the next Xavi, and his career hasn't really transformed the way it was supposed to, right? This guy, Barcelona Academy, he went to PSG. He's been around the block, so now he's coming into an age where he's a bit more consistent now in the Bundesliga. If you see his stats, right? His stats are pretty good in the Bundesliga, right? For this season, 21 matches, 9 goals, and 5 assists. And Man United, you need to add something with goals, somebody with that can contribute from the midfield, either with some type of assists or some type of creativity or some type of goals. Just chip in with something. And Fabrizio Romano, this is what he had to say about Xavi Simons. He went on to say Xavi Simons' plan for a potential summer move, right? It's literally looking concrete. And Fabrizio, he's out here stating the price of 75 million euros. So 75 million euros for somebody like Xavi Simons, it's a lot. It is a lot. 75 million euros for somebody like Xavi Simons is a lot of money. And we also heard some more reports from the Mail, right? The Daily Mail. Of course, these guys, they're up and down, but we'll still talk about what they had to say, right? We'll still talk about, okay, what are the Daily Mail actually saying right now? They're saying Manchester United have maintained contact. So the contact is there with Xavi Simons. Obviously, they're they're maintaining this contact to see, okay, what's the position of this guy? Okay, how realistic is a move for somebody like Xavi Simons? Okay, how realistic is it for Man United to get this guy? What type of fee? What type of salary? They're still maintaining that type of contact. And with a guy like Xavi Simons, of course he has talent, right? He has talent. He did it in the Dutch league. He did it in the Bundesliga, but now he's really looking for that step. And according to what Fabrizio Romano said, his next step might be the Premier League, right? So his next step might be that massive Premier League club. It might be that massive Premier League paycheck. And no doubt about it, this guy has potential, man. No doubt about it. Xavi Simons, we've seen him, especially in the Bundesliga. Like, obviously, I don't consistently watch the Bundesliga, but when players like this are playing, maybe if he's playing Bayern Munich, or if they are playing Leverkusen, I'll watch games like that, right? And Xavi Simons, he really looks good. He really looks good in games like that. I only judge him when they're playing somebody like Bayern Munich. We know how good Bayern Munich are, right? Bayern Munich, they do it in the Champions League as well. So no one can say, no, he performed against Bayern. They're not really a top level team. Bayern are a top level team. So he's performing against teams like that. Leverkusen and Xavi Alonso, these guys are really, really good. So I'm just judging him based on those two performances. And if you do go for somebody like this, obviously maintaining contact doesn't mean Man United are genuinely gonna go there and get him, right? He's just part of the short list. But if you do go out there and get somebody like a Xavi Simons, obviously we saw the hype when he was young. The hype for him when he was young was insane, man. It was insane. People touting him to be the next best midfielder. People touting him to win a Ballon d'Or. So that's the type of talent he was showing when he was young. That's the type of ability this guy was genuinely showing when he was so young. And although his career hasn't really gone to where he wanted it to be, right? Obviously, he saw himself playing for a big club right now, but he's still turning up in the Bundesliga. 9 goals, 5 assists. That's not too bad, right? In 21 games. In 21 games, that's not too bad. 14 GA in 21 games. And I'm not really a GA type of person, but this guy, he also has technical ability. He's also technical. That's why at a young age, they were really, really hyping him up. The hype was there for him. So, Xavi Simons, if we do go for this guy, let's see. Let's see what genuinely happens. If we do go for a guy like Xavi Simons, he does improve Manchester United, no doubt about it. Am I saying he makes us title contenders? No, but he brings something to the midfield. He brings something that we're actually lacking, and that's goes from the midfield, right? Creativity from the midfield, and that's the type of player Man United need to go for. If it's not Xavi Simons, go for somebody that can contribute creativity, contribute some goals, contribute, because you can't have a situation where Bruno Fernandes is the only guy really turning up with goals or assists or creativity, things like that. Next season, you need to go out there, have a squad with players that can deliver in every position, really. In every position, like every position, you have players that can deliver. And we saw it against Wolves. What we're really lacking are creative players and players that can get the ball in the back of the net. So we saw that against Wolves, Man United were really, really struggling as a team, as a club, just to create, just to score. That is a major, major, major downfall for Manchester United. And obviously, the big, big one, the big, big news is obviously about Osimhen. Victor Osimhen is Manchester United's big transfer target. So this is coming from reliable sources, right? They're out here coming to say, yo, Victor Osimhen, he's number one on Manchester United's target list, right? This guy is number one. He's the main target. I think they've dropped the Delap because Delap, he might be going to Chelsea. Obviously, Man United, they don't want to compete for those type of wages for Delap, right? Obviously, Delap is a good player, but the types of wages Chelsea are gonna pay him, I don't think he's worth that type of money. I don't think he's worth that type of money where you're saying, okay, Delap, is he a player that you can pay over 200K a week? After only one season, you pay Delap over 200K a week. It doesn't really make sense. He's only had one season, and if he's demanding those types of wages, you have to move on to alternatives. And the main target, the big target for Man United this season is Victor Osimhen. And we see that, both our strikers, they're genuinely failing to score goals. Of course, I rate Joshua Zerski. Joshua Zerski, he can play, he can link up, he can do this, he can do that, right? But in the situation we're in, we need people that can header the ball, that can genuinely get the ball into the back of the net on a regular basis. Of course, Joshua Zerski, he said it himself. He's more of a what? he's more of a link-up player, a player that's more creative. He loves being more in the number 10 position. He doesn't view himself as a out-and-out striker either. So with Joshua Zerski, do I see him as the main striker next season? I don't really see that. I don't really see that happening. So realistically, you just have to go out there for that Victor Osimhen. Victor Osimhen, he improves you massively, right? Just hearing reports that this guy is your number one target, this guy is your main target, and apparently from his side, there's an agreement. Right? There's an agreement to join Manchester United. So from his side, from the player's side, there's an agreement for him to actually come to Manchester United, join us, and let's see what Victor Osimhen can genuinely do. If he comes in, are we looking better as a team? Are we looking like a team that's genuinely gonna compete? Because Victor Osimhen, for me, he has the capabilities to genuinely take you to the next level. This guy, I highly rate Victor Osimhen. Like the way I rate Victor Osimhen is insane. As a striker, area ability, he's got that. Goals, he's got that. And just the physicality. You need that in the Premier League as a striker. Of course, Rasmus Højlund has physicality, but the attributes to just get the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis, like Victor Osimhen does. Rasmus Højlund have those types of attributes on a consistent basis. Will Rasmus Højlund get you goals on a consistent basis, week in, week out? I think with Victor Osimhen, even the chances we saw against Wolves, right? One of those chances for Rasmus, I think Victor Osimhen scores them. Victor Osimhen does genuinely score them. So with Rasmus, it's just a situation of it's not really personal with Rasmus Højlund. As United fans, we just want people that can put the ball in the back of the net, people that can genuinely turn up and to take this club to the next level, right? We'll see what they actually do, right? We'll see what they actually do, and it's been up and down. Also, some news about Alejandro Garnacho. Is Antonio Conte's number one target for Napoli. So that is some news to also watch out for. We know that Man United, we are gonna sell some players. Maybe Alejandro Garnacho is the big money sell. That big money sell, that big money cash out. Alejandro Garnacho. Let's see what happens with that, because Antonio Conte, he's been chasing this guy for some time. We saw that in January. Alejandro Garnacho to Napoli. But this time it has a twist. It's saying Conte wants him to whatever the cost, Conte really wants him next season. So Antonio Conte is chasing Garnacho like Garnacho's Ronaldinho, or whatever the cost. Antonio Conte wants Alejandro Garnacho. So is that a good transfer for them? I don't really I don't really know, especially for the price tag. Is Garnacho worth over 50 million pounds? That's a massive price for Alejandro Garnacho, especially considering that the guy is inconsistent, considering that the guy is literally up and down, man. So paying 51 million pounds for an unpolished player, that is a lot. But we're gonna take it. If Antonio Conte and Napoli come, try to give us some money, that is 100% profit. 100% profit. If United, you can sell Garnacho, that is 100% profit. It's gonna help you buy more players, buy guys like Xavi Simons, buy guys like Victor Osimhen. Maybe you just go out there, improve yourself. Tyler Diblin, there's still rumors of a Tyler Diblin situation, a Tyler Diblin transfer. So with this sale of Alejandro Garnacho, it can help you. Of course, Napoli, Antonio Conte, they're gonna keep chasing this guy until they get him. That looks like the situation, right? Because it looks like that Garnacho is Napoli's number one target. Garnacho is Napoli's big money signing. So if it does happen, it's I won't even be heard about like Garnacho leaving if he generates us some money. You can bring in better players, guys like Ryan Cherky. You can bring in better all round players because if you're asking yourself, is Garnacho better than Ryan Cherky? I don't really think so, right? So selling Garnacho is not really a negative because you can upgrade the squad, you can bring in some better players, you can bring in some better individuals, and overall, it just makes you a better team all around, right? That money you're gonna generate from guys like Garnacho, guys like Sancho, guys like Rashford, it will benefit you long term because long term you can bring in better players. You can fund a new striker, a striker like Osimhen. You can fund guys like Ryan Cherky, and we can see what we're lacking, right? Garnacho, will he give you creativity long term? Of course, he's creating in some moments. I'm not saying, yo, Garnacho doesn't really create. Fair play to him. He does create in some moments. But will he give you that creativity that's going to help you win the league? That's going to help you secure trophies, right? Consistent creativity. Is he going to give you that? Or is he going to be selfish in some games, creative in some games, turn up in some games? The inconsistency, I think you just have to move the way Real Madrid are moving, right? The way what they did with Odegaard is what we need to do with Garnacho. Okay, you're too inconsistent. Let's go out there, bring in somebody that can do it right now, like a Ryan Cherky. So I think, yo, Garnacho to Napoli, it might be a positive for Manchester United because you gain a lot of money, and that money you gain from Garnacho, selling Garnacho, it can genuinely fund other transfers because it's 100% profit. And with this FFP thing, these 100% profit type of situations, you can use that for other players, right? You can actually triple that amount. Let's say we get 50 million for Garnacho or something like that. You can then triple that amount and spend triple that amount. So it's just positive all around if we can find a way to get in players like Osimhen. Obviously, the Xavi Simons situation is, yo, they're just having contacts with him. I don't see a realistic situation of where we pay 75 million pounds euros for this guy. Xavi Simons, I think we're just checking the situation. I don't really think we're in that deep, right? Obviously, Fabrizio Romano said Premier League clubs are informed, and his most likely destination is the Premier League. But Xavi Simons, I just think it's a situation where they're just checking. They're just checking the condition. Okay, how much will he cost? How much will his wages be? But realistically, I think he's too expensive. He is too expensive, especially for our current format, right? The way Man United are running, the current format, I think Xavi Simons, he's a bit too expensive. He's one of those players that are one, he's a luxury player where I'm not saying he's a luxury player on the field, but on the price tag wise, he's a bit too expensive, right? So go out there, just try get somebody a bit more affordable. Try get somebody a bit more affordable. Yeah, I heard about Yaudes, bro. Yaudes, he can genuinely with Yaudes. I don't know how people are feeling about him. He is a good player. He is a good player. He is a good player, but he is expensive, bro. He is expensive. He's a good player, but he is expensive. You're saying we need two strikers, Gyökeres and Osimhen. Yeah, Osimhen is realistic, but Gyökeres is going to Arsenal, bro. Gyökeres is going to Arsenal. We already know that situation with Gyökeres. He's not really coming to Manchester United. Gyökeres, that guy is really going to Arsenal. I think Osimhen is getting closer. We can hear the noise with Osimhen. It looks like, yo, just a few more weeks, and we might even hear a "here we go" for Osimhen. I won't be shocked if, in before the season ends, we hear a "here we go" for Osimhen, because the noise is becoming louder, and it looks like he's the last striker we're really chasing. Guy Corez, he's agreed terms with Arsenal. He's going to Arsenal. Liam Delap looks like he's gonna go to Chelsea. So realistically, Man United, we only have Victor Osimhen, and I won't be shocked if we hear "here we go" soon. You're saying two holding midfielders, Trincao from Sporting. Yeah, Ryan Cherky would be good from that list. I think with Trincao would be a massive risk, right? We've already seen him flop in the Premier League, right? So Trincao, for me, you'd rather go for somebody like a Ryan Cherky. Ryan Cherky, Trincao, for me, he's already struggled in the Premier League, right? We saw him at Wolves. Wolves, he was so bad, bro. He was so bad, Trincao, when he was playing in the Premier League. He was so bad. So I think he's just one of those players that, okay, he does well in a league like Portugal, but then the Premier League is gonna eat him alive. We saw that when he was playing for Wolves with Trincao. It didn't really work out. The Premier League was eating him alive, bro. It was eating him alive. So Trincao, if we do get him, let's hope he does succeed. But I don't think he should be one of your top players, because he's already shown us that, okay, in the Premier League, he's gonna struggle. He's gonna massively struggle. And it's not a situation of, oh, Trincao flopped at Wolves because Wolves were playing bad, but he was one of their worst players, bro. He was one of their worst players. That's why they never signed him on a permanent, right? When he just go back, watch Trincao playing for Wolves. Watch those games back. He was one of their worst players, bro. So there's still a high possibility that the guy can flop again. He was so bad in the Premier League, bro. He was so bad. That's why Wolves didn't make his transfer permanent. They sent him back to Sporting. So he might be one of those players where he performs in a small league, but then Premier League he struggles massively. That's why they didn't sign him on a permanent basis, bro. He was so bad. He was so bad. So Trancao, he's a massive risk, bro. He's a massive risk, because I think he might just flop in the Premier League. But yeah, just wanted to touch down on that Osimhen to United. Let's hope it does happen. If it does happen, happy days. If it doesn't, let's see who they genuinely go out there and get, because I think Osimhen, that should be your number one guy, right? That should be your number one target. But yeah, just wanted to do like a quick transfer update on Osimhen. Shout out everybody that joined this stream.